Oh man, this is great. My first dove as a renewed Oklahoma resident. Pretty neat, but exciting wing targets. Took me about 3 shots to finally get onto it there. This is probably my fault. I should have done a little practicing before I came out here, but well, it's a good start. Only 14 more to go. I heard there's a lot of protein in a grasshopper. I've heard that chocolate-covered grasshoppers are quite tasty, but as far as eating one plain like that, unroasted, it doesn't sound very appetizing to me, but spiders evidently do well on it and like it. Oh, yeah. Too far. They are such a small bird, you feel like they're actually farther away than they really are when you shoot them and down them, and so you do tend to walk past where they actually are. Hopefully right, here it is. By golly, the feathers led me right to it. See, little teeny feathers like that. There it is. Hallelujah. Oh, lucked out on this one. All right. Yeah, slowly, one by one. Not like all that furious action we heard earlier this morning, but it isn't too bad. Just be patient. One will fly by every so often. Of course, one of the benefits of these birds is that they are such good eating, but they are really, I think, a very attractive bird. Got neat colorations in it. Very challenging wing shot. Only took 3 shots with this one. Let's see, I got 10 more to go.
All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and get started. I know we got a lot of folks that are going to be coming in, so you may see some things popping up here and there, but we had about 215 folks that were registered, and we're at about 60 here, so we'll obviously be getting a lot more folks coming in and everything. We're going to go over a few things for the evening. First off, we thank you guys for coming in and showing the interest in our class here that we're going to put on. This is our first time of trying this, so we're going to be the guinea pigs this evening, and we'll see how this is all going to work. But we're hoping that be some great information for you guys, and you'll go out there and harvest some doves here in a few weeks when the season starts. Main thing is, guys, we are recording this, and it will be available on our website later. It'll be on our Dove page. We've actually newly worked over that, and it looks a lot different. If you've been on it in the last 2 or 3 weeks, it's totally different now. So you might go over there and try to check that out, but we will be putting that over there on the Dove page. Also, we want tonight that you guys stay on mute. Please don't be talking or asking questions through verbally that way. Any questions that you guys might have, we want you to put it into the chat. And you'll have to make that setting on there, and it'll be off to your right-hand side, and you'll be able to type in there whatever question you might have. What we're going to be doing is we have somebody that'll be answering some of those questions as we go, the ones that we can't answer that way. And then we'll also have a time at the end of the evening. We've allowed about 10 minutes or so where we'll take some of those questions and we'll answer them as well. If we don't get all the questions answered, we will go back in there and we're going to put a document together that we will send everybody that was registered tonight, and we'll send you an email with the questions and the answers to that. So if we don't answer your question right off this evening, by the end of the week, you should get an answer from us on that. And, or we will get you in touch with the person that you need to be talking to in order to get that answer. Okay. So, just please, we've got 200 and some folks in here. So obviously we can't have everybody just chiming in and talking, all at once. So we'll ask you, please keep in there in the chat area and, use that as best you can there. All right. So the plan for the evening is that, we're going to have, Josh Richardson. He's going to talk about, kind of beginning out there dove hunting, what you might need to start. And then he's also going to talk about some of the biological things that are involved with dove hunting, fields and what they eat and different things like that. They'll be kind of in there. And we'll talk to Lieutenant Mark Walker about some laws and regulations, and what you need in order to be out there dove hunting, those type things. And then I'll come in and talk about some gun safety and gun mount. We'll have a few videos this evening we'll be showing. We're also going to have those playing while we're talking, so you don't have to look at us the whole time. Then we'll go into talking about another video we've got at the end about mentoring. And then we'll take the questions and answers after that. So pretty full evening. We're going to be for the hour, and we will end around the 8 o'clock time. So again, if we don't get your questions answered this evening, we will get them. The other thing is, do not hit the presenting button. So don't hit the presenting button at all. If you do that, you will cut in and take over the whole thing. And if that happens, then we'll have to end the evening if somebody does that to us. Okay. So please do not do that for us. All right. What we're going to do is I'm going to turn this over to Josh Richardson and let him introduce what he does for us. And he's going to talk to you for a little while.
Hey, good evening, everybody. My name is Josh Richardson. Right now, I'm the private land supervisor, but up until a couple months ago, I was a migratory game bird biologist for the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation. So I've been doing this for about 10 years. Just wanted to kind of come in and run through some quick stuff on dove hunt for y'all. I'm assuming a lot of you guys have probably already been out and have dove hunted at least once in your life, maybe make it out every year. For those of you that are brand new to this sport, the good thing is dove hunting is very easy to get into. It doesn't take a whole lot of equipment. It doesn't take a lot of real fancy clothing, no scent blocker stuff like for deer or anything like that. It's an easy sport to get into, and it's a good way to start the season here. Some of the primary things that you're going to need or want is, of course, a shotgun, some shells. Usually on your shells, you're looking at some smaller shot, so size 6s, 7s, 8s, maybe up to 9s, depending on the gauge of shotgun you're using. You see on this picture here, either a vest or a belt that you can use to carry your ammo in and carry in any bottles of water, any of your decoys, anything like that. Like I say, as far as clothing goes, it doesn't take any sort of fancy camo or anything like that. Some muted color, something that's just kind of brown or light green tone, just to kind of blend in. Dove eyesight isn't just real great, but you don't want to be wearing, hot pink out there or anything else. Decoys are a very helpful thing when you're out dove hunting. Doves do key in on movement of other birds. They're a very gregarious bird. They like being with other doves. So decoys or having something out there to catch their attention, a little bit of movement, some of the little, either a spinning wing decoy or just the little motion flappers on the ground can be very helpful in bringing birds in. A bucket or a chair, something to sit on. And then obviously, occurring in September, it's pretty warm out there. You're usually heading out in about the heat of the day, so don't forget to bring some water, something to stay hydrated with out there. If you've got a dog, same thing with that. Bring a bowl and some water for that dog to stay hydrated, because it's hot in the afternoons of September. So now that you know what you need to get started, where do you go to dove hunt? Doves, again, are a bird that like to congregate together, large flocks of doves. So a very handy thing to do is to try to get out and scout before you try to make it out on a hunt. You can do that most often by just driving some back roads, either the first hour or so after daylight, or the last couple hours in the afternoon, usually about 3:30, 4 o'clock, sometime after that in the afternoon, and just driving some dirt roads, look for doves on the side of the road, getting gravel at the sides of the road, look for them sitting up on the power lines, and look for them going down out in some of the fields out there. Doves feed on small seeds. So if you're in an agricultural landscape, small grains like wheat, millet, milo. We're coming up on corn harvest here pretty soon. So freshly cut cornfield, you'll see some doves hitting on those a lot of times. Usually they're not getting the full corn kernels. Those are kind of almost too big for doves, but that cracked corn that comes out the backside of a combine, doves will definitely clean that up pretty quick after a cornfield's been harvested. If you're out there, you can also look at some of our native food sources. So in the video here, you see these native sunflowers, croton, snow on the mountain, a number of our various forbs put on small seeds that doves just love to eat on. When you head out to hunt, you're wanting to find a spot that's relatively open. Doves are not well built for moving around on the ground. They have very thin, very weak legs. You look at a duck or a goose or a turkey, drumsticks on them are pretty sizable. You look at a drumstick on a dove and there's nothing there. So doves have to have open ground to move around on. So you're looking for, again, a wheat stubble field, a fresh cut corn field, something that's got a lot of bare ground in there, mowed, again, sunflowers or croton or something like that. On a lot of our WMAs, our biologists get out there and they'll actually burn off some of their dove plots. So again, lots of bare ground out there and lots of highly exposed seed. So again, a lot of times you're looking at sitting on the edge of these fields where the cover is still pretty good in there. It can kind of get you hit a little bit, but you're doing most of your hunting out in that open area there. Again, as you're out there hunting, trying to take care of the game that you harvest is top priority as well. So again, watch your shots. Try to shoot birds when they're actually out in the open. If you drop them in heavy cover, it's hard to find a bird in open cover sometimes even. So watch that bird down. If it's one of your first times out hunting, go ahead and you may have a bunch of birds flying around. One goes down. Just get up and go out and get that bird. Again, kind of like the old saying, a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. Well, it's a lot the same way with doves. If you've got a bird down out there, go out and get it picked up before you forget where it's at. Again, those things can disappear in the middle of a wide open field. So, respect the game. Make it worthwhile for yourself. They're hard to hit. So if you get one, you wanna make sure and get it to your bag. Really that's the basics of it. It's a very simple sport to get into. Very easy to learn. Again, take a new person out, take a kid out. Always remember safety. These birds are flying fast. So you want to make sure you're always aware of what's behind your target. But again, it's also a very fun sport, very easy to get into. So I encourage all of y'all, if you haven't been out there, make it out. It's not that hard to get into. Those of y'all that have been out before, best of luck to you come September 1.
All right, Josh, thanks a lot for all the information there. And hopefully that helps you guys out once you get out there, or if you've got some land of your own that you're trying to manage for some dove and trying to bring some in. what we're going to do now is we are going to get with Lieutenant Mark Walker, and he is going to talk with us about the law regulations that you need to be aware of out there. And so I'm going to turn it over to him, and we'll listen to what he has to say here. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, thanks, Damon. Again, welcome everybody to our first of this kind of meeting or seminar. But again, my name is Mark Walker. I'm the game warden out in Blaine County, and that's the Watonga, Canton Lake, American Horse Lake area. So if any of you are hunting out in this area, got any questions, never hesitate to call me. But what I'm going to cover this evening is just some of the license requirements, rules, and regulations for dove season. So the first thing that I recommend that everybody do every year about this time, dove season is kind of our kickoff to our fall hunting seasons, and so I recommend that everybody pick up a new copy of the Oklahoma hunting and fishing regulations. These right here. 2021, just to make sure nothing's changed. Bag limits, special area regulations, anything like that. Make sure you get the latest copy of that and consult those. And sometimes we just forget things that are in there that not necessarily have changed, but we just forget about them. So it's good just to refresh our memory about the rules and regulations regarding whatever season we're participating in. But we're going to talk about dove season this evening. And if you don't have the hard copy, you can pick those up at Walmart, but you can always look at our hunting regulations and fishing regulations online at our website. I actually always download a copy of them to my books and my iPhone, so that if I ever have questions out in the field, don't have access to a copy of the regulations, I can just pull them up on my phone and look up whatever I need to look up in there. And also the game warden's phone numbers are in there, so you can also have access to our phone numbers, where you can call us to get any of your questions answered. Anyway, let's start with the license requirements for dove hunting. Everyone has to have a Oklahoma hunting license unless you're exempt. If you have you need to have an annual hunting license, or a lifetime hunting license. Also, well, on that, anybody under 16 years of age is exempt from the hunting license. So you can read in there, there's I can't remember which page it's on, but in our hunting regulations, there's a list of license exemptions, but most people will need a hunting license before they go out. Also, you need a HIP permit, which is a Harvest Information Program permit. It's a federal permit that gives the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service a way to keep track of migratory bird harvest in the United States. So make sure you've got that. If you're under 16 or over 64, you're exempt from that HIP permit. If you're a landowner, you're exempt from the HIP permit. You're also exempt from the hunting license. So that's basically it as far as licenses. The hunting license and the HIP permit for dove. You don't have to worry about any waterfowl stamps or anything like that. This is just for doves. It's a hunting license and HIP permit. As far as, of course, the season dates, it opens September 1st annually, runs through October 15th. Then it'll open again for a December season. But honestly, most of the dove hunting that takes place in Oklahoma takes place that first week or two of the season, first weekend or two, opening day. I believe it opens on a Tuesday this year, but anyway, annually it's September 1st, so that's always a big day for for hunters and game wardens alike. The daily limit is 15 doves combined. There are 3 species of doves that you're possibly going to see in Oklahoma. One is the mourning dove. That's the one you're going to see the most of. That's mostly what we have here in Oklahoma. The second is the Eurasian collared dove. If you live in town, these are the birds, these are the doves you see in town a lot. They're big. They're probably about somewhere in between a mourning dove and a pigeon. But they have the dark collar on the back of their neck. But they're very common around in town. So if you're hunting an area that's on the on the outskirts of a town, you're liable to see these doves while you're hunting. And the other is a white-winged dove. Don't see many of those in the area that I work, but we do see 1 or 2 occasionally. A lot of times the hunters that have shot them don't know that they've got one. They look fairly similar to a mourning dove. So anyway, there's the bag limit is 15, except that if you shoot any of the Eurasian collared doves, as long as you leave the head or 1 fully feathered wing attached to the bird while you're in the field, that bird does not count against your bag limit. So you can have 15 mourning doves and half a dozen or however many of the Eurasian collared doves, as long as you're not cleaning them in the field. As long as we can identify them in the field, there's no limit on those Eurasian collared doves. So as far as means of take, shooting hours are a half hour before sunrise to sunset. So you look at the sunrise sunset table for your particular area that's easily available online. Type in your town and it'll give you the sunrise sunset times for your area. And that's usually pretty strictly enforced especially on the sunset, because those birds are trying to go to roost, and that sunset time limit is there to allow those birds to go to roost and rest for the evening or the night, so that they can go at it again the next day. So pay attention to your shooting times. As far as shotguns, there is a limit of 3 shells. A shotgun cannot be capable of holding more than 3 shells. That's in the magazine and in the chamber combined. So you can have 1 in the chamber and 2 in the magazine, and that's it. Most shotguns are capable of holding 5 shells, unless you've got an extended magazine that'll, some guns will hold more than that. But if you have a magazine that's capable of holding more than 2 shells in that magazine, it has to be plugged. So most guns come from the factory with the plug. A lot of guys lose them, make their own plugs. If you make your own plug out of a pencil or a dowel rod or whatever you're going to use, just make sure that it's long enough that that 3rd shell can't be put in there and into the magazine, because that's one of the things we always check whenever we're out checking hunters. We're going to check your licenses, hit permits, your bag with the birds you've killed, and we're going to check that plug to make sure it's in there. And so a lot of guys use the same shotgun for dove hunting, and then they switch over to ducks later in the fall and winter, and then the next year rolls around and they get back to dove hunting and forget to put their plug back in. So double check that, make sure your plug is in there, and that's about it as far as the gun goes. You can be in possession of 1 bag limit in the field. When you look in the regulations, there's bag limit and then there's possession limit. Those are 2 different things. You can have in the field 1 bag limit in your possession. So Uh, Make sure you understand the difference in bag and possession limits. The possession limit is what you can have at your camp or at your home. The daily bag is what you can have while you're actually out hunting in the field, and that cannot be more than what we talked about earlier. If a lot of times guys are hunting in groups and one guy will, or two guys or whatever, will end up taking all the birds from his party's hunt, and take one guy will end up with all the birds because they don't want to, they'll pool their birds, or maybe three guys hunted and they got 18 birds all together and one guy takes them all home. If you're going to give your birds to somebody else, you need to provide that person with some documentation so that whenever we check this guy, we come across him after he's got your birds and he's got 18 birds and he's over limit, he has the documentation with the required information on there, your name, the date, how many birds you killed, etc., so that he can prove that those birds were obtained from another hunter. So make sure you do that if you're giving your birds to anybody. One of the things that you need to be careful about, one of the things that we as game wardens deal with quite a bit during the dove season, is hunters hunting near roadways, which is really common because you're hunting, especially out here where I'm from, these guys are hunting ag fields, and this time of the year they're worked up unless they're in a weed patch or something. But a lot of guys will use fence lines along the roads as their cover to hunt, which is fine, totally legal as long as you're inside the fence. You just need to be careful to make sure you're shooting onto the property that you're hunting. And if you're hiding in a fence road and you've got a county road right behind you, you've got to make sure that you're not losing track of that, swinging on birds and shooting across the road behind you or up into the high lines behind you or whatever. Just beware of that. So look at my notes here to see if I've forgot anything. Consult, if you're going to hunt public land, make sure you consult the hunting regulations and look up your specific area in there that you're going to be hunting. Some areas are not open to dove hunting or have certain closed areas, or like at the Canton Wildlife Management area, if you're on the waterfowl refuge portion, you've got to have steel shot. So just make sure, just read the hunting regulations, know your license requirements, bag limits, all that. And if you're going to hunt public land, make sure you look at the regulations for your particular area that you're going to be hunting. Okay. All yours, Damon.
Damon, you're still muted. We can't hear you.
I'm sorry. It's hard to get used to that. All right. Thank you, Mark. We appreciate it. While Mark was talking, we were trying to show you on the website our new Dove page and some of the things that are on there. So the things that Mark was talking about are all there, and they have links to be able to click to them and be able to look at the regulations, all the special area regulations, and all those things that you're going to need to be able to look at. So if you get a chance, just run over there and check out those things before you get to go out there and go hunting. If you're on one of the WMAs, there may be some specific rules and regulations for that. So be sure and check that out. There was a couple of questions on hunter education requirements and things. We are really wanting to try to push our online hunter education, especially with this COVID that we've got going on. We're really, really wanting to have hunters go to our online hunter education course. It's very easy to do. It's free, and you can do it at any time of the night, day, and it's available for you. You can do it even on your So we really, really want you to try to go over there and do that. And again, you can go over there and check and see if you're the age group that needs to have that or not. Lance actually put that on. Anyone under 31 years of age or under 31 years old and is going to have that. And apprentice designations work as well. So apprentice designation, that means you've got to hunt with someone and they have to be able to grab your gun if they need to. So you're going to have to sit right there with them if you're going to hunt with them. So anyway, all right. So I've got a video here that we're going to show, and Micah's going to put that up here. As soon as he gets it up there and ready to go, we're going to do that. Going to go into kind of talking about some gun handling and hopefully some tips on that. And then I'll come back and talk about some more on shooting and things as well. So Micah's going to get that up and going here. And you'll see it is on our website as well. So if you want to go back and watch it at any time, you can.
Hi, I'm Damon Springer. I'm the Shotgun Training Education Coordinator for the Department of Wildlife Shotgun Programs. And today we're going to talk about your stance, your mount, and how that is important when you're out there shooting. So we're going to start off with stance. I'm a left-handed shooter, so my gun goes on my left side, and I am going to stand just shoulder width on my feet, and then I will have my right foot just a little bit forward of my left so that my weight gets distributed to my right foot. So then when I mount the gun, everything goes forward and I'm pushing into the gun. That helps to absorb the recoil of the firearm whenever you're shooting. If you're a right-handed shooter, it would be opposite of that. You'd have your left forward, your right will be backward. When you mount your gun, you'll be forward a little bit with your right side. All right, with your left side. Let me talk to you a little bit about the firearm itself so that when we're talking about the mount, you'll understand what I'm talking about. This right here is the butt and the butt pad right here on the back stock. You've got your grip. On this top area here, it's called the comb, and that will go right up against your cheek. And when I talk about that here in a second, you'll know what I'm talking about. Of course, your trigger is in here. Your fore end, or the stock in the front here, this one's got a vent rib. Some guns do not. So without the rib, it would be the barrel on the top of here like that. And so we're ready to go. The mount. You always want to bring the firearm to you, not you go to the firearm. And I'll show you what that means. When I bring this firearm up, I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to stand straight up, and I'm going to bring this right straight into my cheek and my shoulder. And I'm not going to bend into it a whole lot. I'm going to be just standing here really natural and real comfortable. You'll see people all the time that bring their gun in here to their shoulder and then try to get into their gun. When they do that, they tilt their head and it changes everything to an angle instead of being parallel with the ground out here, and you see your targets better. So you always want to bring that gun to your face, not you go to the gun, okay? And you'll see I bring that butt right back here against my shoulder. My cheek is on the comb here, and I am ready, I'm steady, and now I can move my body and shoot the targets as they come. All right? So always remember, bring the gun to your face. Put your face always down on the comb. You need to be down in contact with the firearm. The firearm goes backwards, not up. So it will not pop you in the cheek or anything like that when you shoot. And you always want to be leaned into the firearm. Okay? So why is your mount that important? Okay? So if we come out here and I do mount this gun down here low, and then I get into my gun, I may think I'm looking down here straight, but actually with my gun low, I'm pointing just a little bit upward like this. So I'm going to think I'm shooting here, but actually my gun is shooting up a little bit over my target. Okay, and I'll show you on a sheet, 4x4 sheet of paper, if you shoot to the center and you have a low shot, a low mount on your shoulder here, it will cause all of your shot to shoot high onto that paper. You might have one or two that hit down here in the center where it's supposed to be, but you've got those, most of your shot is up high, so you miss a lot. You can do everything correct, your stance, all of the things that are go along with shooting, and you can shoot right over the top of the target just because you didn't get your gun mount correct. Now, what if we go too high? I've got it way up here too high. It tips my gun downward. And so if my gun's tipped downward, what do you think happens? Yeah, you'll shoot under your targets a lot. So the importance of getting your gun mount correct is extremely, extremely important to your shooting and your shooting consistent. So always remember, bring that target back gun into your face. Make sure that you're looking straight down, even with the top of the barrel, and then you know your gun mount is correct.
All right. So hopefully through that, you can see, guys, one of the most important things when you go out there to shoot is you've got to learn to get your gun mount correct. If your gun mount is not correct, then you are going to have problems with hitting any kind of a target, especially a moving target. I guess, you know, with dove, they're saying the average is about 5 to 7 shells per bird. That's a lot of shooting where you're doing a lot of missing. But if you'll work on your gun mount and a couple of these other things I'm going to talk to you about, it will help you reduce that, and you will be able to bring that down to, you know, in that 1, 2, 3 range and be able to harvest those. It just takes more practice. The thing about dove is a lot of people, the gun has been put away since the last season or quail season or whatever they were hunting last. And then now they all of a sudden just get it out and there's no practice. Opening day is your first day of practice out there. So we're going to go ahead and put up our shot string diagram here. I'm going to talk to you about how a shotgun reacts. And I changed it up on Micah, so now he's got to change it. But the shot string is a very important thing on the shotgun as well. A shotgun doesn't do like the cartoons show, this big cloud of shot that comes out there and hits the target all at one time. The shot out of a shotgun is affected as it goes through the barrel. All these different things are happening to it. It's scraping the side of the barrel. It's hitting each other. It's going through the choke and squeezing that stuff together. So it deforms all the shot. So when it comes out of the barrel, if it was not deformed, it goes faster because less wind resistance, and so it flies faster and goes out front. If it's had certain things happen to it in that barrel, it can make it just flat on an edge. It can kind of concave it or convex it. So the air is going to affect it totally different. So as the shot comes out and flies, as the wind affects it, it starts pulling some of that shot back and making it slower. And as it slows down, it starts to move outward. So it increases the size of the shot string out and down and up. And then the faster ones are moving out front and the slower ones are moving to the back. So then it makes this long string of shot. And when you'll hear a lot of shooters that shoot even like trap or skeet or anything like that, you always want to miss to the front. You never want to just miss toward the back of a bird. If you miss to the back, you're going to miss completely. If you shoot out front and you're a little bit, maybe a too far of a lead out front, you're going to have some of these stragglers behind that are going to help you, and they might hit the bird or the target and help you out. So you always want to lead farther in front of that bird than you think and use that shot string to your benefit, and it will help you out a bunch. You know, I work with shooters all the time, And those crossing shots that are moving real fast, and they think you just kind of get out in front of them just a tiny bit. Well, sometimes you may need to get out in front of them 3, 4, 5 feet and in order to hit them. Dove are exactly like that, and those little suckers can fly really, really fast. So you need to adjust your way of shooting on that. We'll go ahead and put up the diagram of the swing through method. This is the best method for shooting, especially dove. They're going to be a moving target. They're going to be flying really fast. They're going to be dipping and diving and doing all kinds of things. They're not like a regular clay target or anything. They can do all kinds of things to you. And you can do everything right and still miss one because they just dive out before you make that shot. But on a swing through method, you will actually start behind the bird. As you swing through and come past the bird, you will continue on out front, and then you squeeze the trigger. You keep the barrel moving. You never stop your swing. If you stop your swing, you will miss the bird no matter what. If you will continue your swing, and let's say you continue that swing and you miss, continue on and get a little bit farther out in front and increase that lead just a little bit, and I bet you'll get that second shot. But the lead is extremely important, but this swing through method helps you because when you come in behind it, you're figuring out how fast that bird's flying, and as you pass, then you kind of figure out how much of a lead you're going to have on it. So that helps you out a lot when you're out there shooting dove. The other thing that you really need to consider on dove is, are you going to be hunting that dove over a pond where you're going to get some pretty close shots? So you can use like an improved cylinder, and you can use like number 8 shot because you'll get more shot, they're closer, and they'll help you knock them down a lot easier. If you're going to be out in an open field and they're just going to be kind of flying indiscriminately, you may need a little bit more, you're going to make longer shots. So you may want to step that up to more of a modified choke, which chokes the shot down just a little bit more and allows you to get a longer shot on the birds. So you need to for sure consider where you're going to be hunting and how far are you going to have to be making those shots. Also in some of our areas, you may have to use steel shot. If you're going to have to use steel shot, then you need to make an adjustment for that. If you like normally shooting a number 8 shot, you need to probably use a number 6 on steel shot. I go to Hackberry Flat almost every year, and so we have to use it there. That is my shot of choice, is a number 6 in the steel shot, and I usually use a 12 gauge. Sometimes I'll use a 20, but no matter what, I'm using that number 6 shot if I can find it. Sometimes it may be a little difficult to get a hold of, but if you don't, then you just have to adjust your choke and also how far you're going to be making those shots. So consider that when you're out there shooting those dove as well. All right. So we're going to go ahead and go into one more video, and it is on mentoring. And after we get done with this video, then we are going to go into some questions and answers, and we'll answer some of the questions that people have been putting into the chat here, and we can go from there, okay?
Hi, my name is Casey Joyner. I'm the R3 coordinator for the state of Oklahoma for NWTF and ODWC. R3 stands for Recruitment, Retention, and Reactivation. So basically, I create programs and initiatives to increase hunting participation across the U.S. Now, why are states hiring R3 coordinators, you might ask? Well, that's because hunting participation is on the decline across the U.S. There's a couple different factors that attribute to that. Our largest cohort of hunters are in the baby boomer generation, and they're slowly aging out. And there's just not enough of us behind them to pick up the slack on that. Another reason why hunters are declining across the U.S. is because societal norms are changing, demographics are changing, and we're also shifting from a rural atmosphere to more of urban atmospheres, and that is just not really conducive for the hunting traditions, as well as land being bought up and private leasing. So those are some of the main ones that are very large contributors to our problem we have now. Now, what are we doing to combat this problem? Well, one of the ways we are combating it is by mentorship. We have a new program coming out called Learn to Hunt Program, and it's the only one in the nation of its kind. It's a 12-month mentorship where we pair a novice hunter with a mentor, and they go through a whole program where they meet one Saturday each month, and they do a hunt or an exercise that builds upon each other. And we also provide these mentors, or these mentees and mentors, with resource kits that will have everything that they need to complete any of these exercises. Now, how the structure is set up, we pair NWTF chapter members, DU chapter members, Quail, Pheasant Forever, Cherokee Nation members in these little clubs across Oklahoma in little partnerships, and these guys are the ones that are actually being paired with the new hunters or the novice hunters, and those are the ones that are going to pick up the slack and be the boots on the ground mentors for this program. Now, they'll all have their specialties, like for example, NWTF would be specialized in turkey hunting, I would assume, as well as DU would specialize in duck hunting. So they'll all kind of pick up the slack in their area of expertise to administer this program. Now, the start date for this program was originally set for July 1st, 2020, but with the onset of COVID, everything has been pushed back and delayed. So we're just putting this on hold, and right now I'm currently gathering mentors. So if you would be interested in mentoring or being mentored, please get in contact with me. I will say this first year we are partnering with our schools. Kids that have been in the NASP programs, which is the archery programs, or the scholastic shooting sports programs like the shotgun program. If they've expressed an interest in taking it a step further and trying hunting out, we're going to connect those guys and their parents with our mentors this first year. Now, you don't have to be a part of the Learn to Hunt program to make a difference for conservation across the U.S. If only 30% of the current hunting population was to take someone new hunting and to create a new hunter, the trajectory of the hunting heritage and conservation in America would be drastically different. So I challenge you to take someone new hunting, whether it be your buddy down the street that expressed an interest, or if you think someone would be interested in learning and is just too scared to ask, because a lot of times that's the case. Just ask them if they want to go with you, and so you can share those skills with them. It's so important and it's so critical for conservation and for the future of our wildlife agencies across the U.S. To be sustained by these hunting conservation dollars. Thank you guys for watching, and I really hope you consider taking someone new hunting this year.
All right. That is one thing for sure that dove hunting is really, really good for. It is a great family outing. It is something that you and the kids can get involved in, and you and your buddies, your friends, anybody can go out there and enjoy a time out dove hunting. You can stand around and you can talk and you can carry on. And now movement is a little bit of a problem with dove. If you move around a lot, then they want to kind of turn and go off a different direction. But, you just kind of keep your eye out for them. And if you see them, you kind of freeze and wait for them to come in and then get up there and make that shot on them. But, that is the best thing to do during dove season is to get the family involved in it, get those kids out there started. I started as a retriever, so I always ran out there and got all the birds for as I was growing up. And then I finally got to use a 410 and then got to make some shots myself. So always a great introduction, no matter how old they are, and get them out there, get them started. One of the things we did note, I did mention some water holes and, hunting over water, but that is another great place to get in there and try to hunt dove as well. If you have a water hole, the thing you want to look at for that is there needs to be open area around the water hole. It can't be grass right up to the edge of the water. If the dove like to land on dirt or on a surface that is open where they can kind of see. A lot of times though, if you've got a dead snag, a tree that's dead, or some dead limbs that are pretty close right there, the dove might fly into that first, kind of sit there, look at the pond before they go down. So that makes it great. And especially if you got some younger ones, they're going to kind of go over there and slow down to land, and that helps them to make some good shots on birds before they even land. So, you know, gives another great opportunity for the kids that way. But water holes, the best times to do that is sometimes early mornings before they go out and feed, or they might go feed and then kind of mid-morning they'll come back and go get some water, and then they'll go over and maybe hang out in the roost for a little while. And then obviously in the evening is a great time for them, where they've been feeding in the fields and then now they're going to head over and get a drink before they go to the roost. So you might be watching some of those watering holes like that, or if you've had a hunt that morning or afternoon and you didn't quite finish and you've got a water hole you can maybe run over to, and you might be able to finish out your limit that way. So don't forget those water holes, because they can be really good, especially if you're in a dry area and you've got one of the only watering places around. That will be great for you to be able to utilize. All right, so we are at the question and answers portion of it here, and going to have the guys kind of help on figuring out some of the questions that we're going to be trying to answer here. So if you have questions, go ahead and put them on in the chat area here. And it says here, one of them that I see here is, am I required to wear orange if hunting on my property? No, you do not have to wear orange and while you're out dove hunting. And their December season is the only time that you might have to, and then again, you would have to wear either a head covering or a vest. And yes, if you're on your own property, you do have to adhere to those orange requirements. It doesn't matter where you're hunting, as long as you're in Oklahoma, you do have to adhere to those orange requirements. How's the bird count? I'm gonna let Josh answer the last question that we just saw. How's the bird count in Oklahoma? And we obviously, they're migratory birds, so they're moving.
Yeah, so we do a couple ways of kind of monitoring populations. Early in the summer, we do what we call our call count survey. So early in the breeding season, when you have the males up on power lines or up in trees cooing, we drive about 16 routes around the state, and again, kind of keep an index on birds that way. Those numbers were just a little bit down this year, but still pretty good numbers. Then the other thing that we do throughout the summer is banding. We have a banding program for doves, and really this year it's been pretty decent. Really, in about the last week or so, another hatch has come out. That's the neat thing about the banding program. You can kind of see when various hatches of birds come off. Doves will pull off about 3 clutches of birds. And like I say, here in about the last 5 days to a week, there was a new clutch of birds came out. So, I mean, again, as we've kind of heated back up after this last little rainy period a week ago, I've been seeing a lot more doves really starting to show up on power lines and all that. So I think we're looking good for this year.
All right, one of the other questions here we've got from Carson Gee is, what should I do or know before I go hunting on public spot as listed on the map online? Well, first off, if you can look on that and figure out maybe some areas that are close to you or where you're wanting to go hunt. Then you can go to our dove page, and on that dove page, there is an area that will say, that'll show you our WMAs and where to go hunt on some of those, like the WMAs that are maybe have some areas for dove on them, and you can click on those, and that'll take you to the actual WMA page to be able to look at that. The other thing you will have to look at as well is you'll have to look at special area regulations. Every one of our WMAs have their own specific regulations for the area. So you always need to check what those are. And kind of going here to show you, there is a where to hunt, and then he clicked on there and went to the special area regulations. And then they're listed by WMA, PFA, WRP or whatever different kind of area that they are, and they will tell you what the different things are on each of those areas. If they're not listed in here, then there's not any special regulations on there, and they're same as statewide seasons and dates. And it also tells you that on the very first part of this page as well. So hopefully that helped you out there, Carson. And this question here, anyone know of anyone who has land to hunt on? Who do I contact to help me? Man, the best way to do it is get out there, do some scouting, find the area where you might see some birds, and then go start knocking on doors and asking, if you can go hunt. That's what most everybody does. If you're going to do that, we do have the Olap program, which are our land access programs, and it's also on our website. You can click on that, and it'll pull up a map of the state, and then you can click on any individual one that we have in the state, and it will tell you what's available to hunt and what the rules are on that one as well. And Mike is probably pulling that up here for us as well. But that where to hunt, it'll show you a lot of that right there, the different department areas, and the Olap interactive maps are right there. So you can click on it and then go to any of those that we have around the state. We're always trying to build that and get more and more of those, but those are landowners that have allowed us to put that into that program and allow you to come out there onto their property and hunt. And there will be rules listed, and usually there's a sign at them as well that will tell you what the rules are on them as well. But you can find those ahead of time, obviously, before you get there. So that is a great way to get in there and figure out what's available. And like this one here, he's clicked on, there's deer, turkey, dove, and rabbit on that property. So, and it tells you when it's open and if it's shotgun or if you can use rifle, and it covers all of that for you. So, does it help to use a blind with doves? I don't think blinds are necessary. Movement does kind of cause a dove to maybe turn or go different ways, but really camouflage isn't even that big of a deal with dove. So I'm going to say no, a blind is not going to necessarily help you a whole lot, but it wouldn't necessarily hinder you. The problem is when you're dove hunting, you need to be able to move around. Being mobile is good. Because you may need to you may be there sitting and all of a sudden you're finding out the dove are all flying across this one little spot, 50 yards from you, and you can't make a shot on them. So you need to move down there. So you need to be mobile and be able to make a move if you need to. So I'm going to say a blind is probably not going to help you a lot with dove. And even if you got the little ones out there, it's all right. They can move around a little bit and it's not going to cause too much of a disruption. Got a question here. Should I worry about the meat spoiling after I shoot some of the dove? There's always a possibility of that, especially if you're not going to be cleaning the dove while you're in the field. And it depends on how long you're going to be out there. A lot of the dove buckets have an area in the bottom of the bucket that's insulated, and you can put ice in there. I take baggies along with me, and I take a little bucket or a little cooler. And if I'm out there for a while and it's pretty warm, I'll throw them in a baggie and I'll lay them down in that cooler, and that'll help to keep it from, having any kind of a spoilage issue at all. So just kind of think of that ahead of time and prepare for it. But obviously they can spoil if they're sitting out there in the heat.
By and large, dove hunting is going to occur like in the first 2 to 3 hours of the morning and the last 2 to 3 hours of the day. So again, if you're out there on a morning hunt, you get done for the morning and haven't quite limited out, go ahead and clean those birds out. Same thing, get done in the evening and get them cleaned up. You leave them sitting around in your bag for the entire day while it's 95, 100 degrees out there. It becomes more of an issue. Doves are, again, really small animals, so it's not like a deer where it's a 100-pound animal and you got that body heat really held in there. Doves being fairly small, their body cools down fairly quick after they've been shot. So it'll keep for a pretty decent time. But again, like I say, you get done with the morning hunt, go ahead and clean what you shot that morning, and same thing, you get done in the evening, go ahead and get them cleaned that evening. Don't just leave them sitting around out in the open air all night. So.
I noticed in the comments that someone has put that there's a women's intro to hunting class up in Fairview at the Technology Center. Looks like on Saturday, September 26th. So thanks for putting that out there. And so hopefully some folks will want to go and be part of that as well. All right. Okay, Daryl Wren asked, I can fully dress it in the field. Do I need to leave a wing? You only have to leave the wing or a head on if it's a Eurasian collared dove. Otherwise, you can clean the bird out there and put it in a little cooler. But again, you have to adhere to the bag limit of 15 birds and also your possession limit. So you're only going to have 15. If it's cleaned, it's going to be part of your bag limit, even if it's a Eurasian dove. So if you take and completely clean that Eurasian, it counts towards your 15 bird limit. Okay. So the Eurasian is the only one that you have to leave the head and the wing on. And Mark can chime in here anytime if I said that wrong, but
yeah, you don't really have to leave it on, but like you said, if you clean it, it'll count towards your 15. So if you want to keep more than 15 and some of them are calling doves, you better leave some sort of an ID on there.
Right. Okay. All right, guys. We are right at the 8 o'clock mark here, and so we're going to go ahead and end the evening, and I've answered pretty much all the questions that I can see on here. We're going to go back through the comments, and if we have any of those questions that we didn't get, then we will address those, and we will send something out to everybody that was here at the meeting tonight. So thank you guys for being here, and we sure appreciate all of you guys out there, and good luck this hunting season. All right.
Thanks, guys.